Hello, and welcome to the Irish Gauge podcast. How are we all doing, fellas?
We're getting on good.
Doing great, Davey. It's a Thursday night and I'm feeling fine. How are you doing?
The week's bait.
We've hit 337 downloads on Podbean, which makes me incredibly happy.
And we've got over a couple of hundred views on YouTube as well, which is decent.
We've started well. Week one, good start. Thanks to everyone out there for the
Starting
support.
to slow down a wee touch
love.
now, but that's probably because everybody's downloaded at this point. So next week we're going to stagger our releases. We're going to maybe put one out on a Monday, and then I think we're going to do Tuesday and Thursday as well.
And Thursday, yeah.
So
for everyone out there, who's downloaded, don't be afraid to give a wee like, a wee subscribe,
Yeah.
a wee comment.
we were talking about this
Because I
earlier.
noticed 337 comments, or 337 subscriptions, or downloads, but we only have about 50 subscriptions.
Yeah.
So, everyone who's downloaded is not subscribed.
We were talking about this earlier. We're sort of doing the whole, it's that kind of Irish thing where you don't want to be like too pushy with the whole like our stuff. But what do you call it? We kind of need you to do it.
More or less, Dev's already on to you, so you don't want Dev coming after you.
No.
Nobody wants that, and he's cranky because it's a big day for the big fella. He's 2 days off the beans.
Aye, 2 days off the cigarettes.
I'm doing right.
We'll see how that goes.
How was your day so far? Was it alright?
Stressful.
It was okay at parts.
Aye, well, I'm proud of you.
Well, anyway,
Good man.
we'll leave that.
Well, what are we discussing today, Dave? Let us know.
Jesus, that was the weirdest podcast voice you put on yet.
That was my transition.
Kirby has been very conscious of the way he talks now, so we're all trying to slow down and talk more eloquently and better. But this topic tonight has been my favorite to research, and the reason that that we're doing it, or the reason that we thought of it up, was sort of talking to younger fellas. We sort of thought about like lads that are born in like the year 2000 are 20 now, so it's making us feel exceedingly old. And there's a lot of football players. Oh, sorry, this is the football podcast, obviously, but there's a lot of football players we think that played in sort of the 90s and that
early
2000s. That a lot of these people, we were even saying that like lads that were born in the year 2000 probably won't have a great recollection of even Ronaldo with United, like Cristiano. So we're gonna
teenage years.
Yeah, we're gonna
teenage years.
We're all in our late 20s
I remember
now.
it well. He came on against Bolton.
They don't remember him being bad. Or like him being bad, because at the start he was like all skill, no end product. Aye, but no skill, or all skill, no end product.
Before he was the world beater that he is, but he was never bad.
Yeah. Another point that I want to make here for younger listeners and things of that nature is that they are spoiled. They're spoiled because they have grown up in an age with Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Like I've seen a wee bit of slagging of like the likes of Mo Salah and stuff because he hasn't reached that 40 goal a season mark, which he had in his opening. People don't score 40 goals a season every season.
No. We're in a weird generation where arguably the two greatest footballers ever played the game are coming through at the same time. And, they're both coming to an end, which is quite sad. Ronaldo, he's having a great season, but he's tailing off a little bit. And, Messi's getting a few niggly injuries and things.
Yeah. They're coming to the end. So this is back to the norm now for people. So we've decided to go back into sort of the 90s and talk about some footballers that are obviously probably well known to anybody that was born in our generation, but it'll be like a wee bit of a history lesson for some of the younger football fans, and it'll just be nostalgic as all hell for anybody that's our age or older.
Yeah.
So we thought it would be a good podcast.
It should be good.
We got heavily
into
one
footballer each, just that came up and sort of when we were kids, and that we had remembered from childhood. So
good footballers that maybe would not be even the person that I picked tonight. I had a conversation with a few young fellas or lads that were younger than me, and they had no idea who he was, and it was like
people are going to know my footballer for all of the wrong reasons, which is very sad to me.
I don't know. The fellas know my guy, but Bestie, I don't know yours, and Crippy, I don't know yours either. This should be fun.
My guy's
Keith Andrews.
Exactly who it is. Spoiler alert. My guy's very much a world-class player, but a player that you would forget about very quickly.
Wayne's very well known, but
I think it's just because
doesn't
of the team
get the love that he deserves. So I'm here to absolutely shower him with love.
I think it's just because of that team he was in. He was, there was so many stars in it that he just sort of was one of the ones that were just sort of
down the pecking order.
A wee bit.
Researching this.
You had a field day.
I had a field day. Yeah. I really enjoyed this.
How did you get Wi-Fi in a field?
Oh God!
I've literally just spat my tea in.
That's gonna sound real decent, doesn't it? What do you call it? Right.
That's the start of it.
That's the start of it. So we're all feeling pretty good about this. This is gonna be very nostalgic for us, and
I hope everybody enjoys it.
Hope everybody enjoys it. So researching this, I dived into. Are you alright there, Vesty? Vesty's down there in the corner.
I'm alright. I'll get there. Here we go.
I dived into Italy. So, Italy in the 1990s was the best football league on the planet, you know, which is probably crazy to think of for anybody that's under the age of 20.
Yeah.
Italy in the 1980s was the best. I Saturday mornings watching Gazzetta Football Italia, that the Golazzo thing at the end of it, I put it on before the podcast. It used to be on the Saturday morning on Channel 4, and it would just go into the previous week's highlights of the games. And Italy had all the best players, like, it did. It was the best league in the world. Milan had just come off back-to-back Champions Leagues in 88 and 89. And then in the 90s, an Italian club was represented in the final for 7 straight years. So this is what you're dealing with here. Italy was the best league in the world. Not only was it the best league in the world, it had the best referee in the world. Who is it?
Ferluccio Collina.
That's a good answer for you.
Is it not his birthday today?
It is his birthday today.
Today's date is 13th of February. I was looking at the date, 13th of February.
Yep, it's his birthday today.
And it's,
He was that good of a referee that he was on the cover of early Pro Evos.
I mind that.
Dev, another fun fact for you. Peter Brackley did the commentary for Gazzetta Football Italia. What else did he do the commentary for? Question of the night.
I do not know.
Pro Evo.
Yes.
If you hear him, you'll recognise him. Brilliant.
Oh, I for anyone listening that doesn't get it, me and Dave used to not be FIFA men, and were on the Pro Evo bandwagon for many a year.
Pierluigi Collina was on Pro Evo 3 and Pro Evo 4, so they had a ref on the cover of a football game. That's how good he was.
I was Pro Evo until about 09, I think.
I was FIFA and then
09, 010, like
Pro Evo in the mid 2000s and then back to FIFA. So Italy's the best league in the world in the 90s, and I have went for one of the best strikers.
Drum roll.
One of my favourite strikers of all time, and I went for Gabriel Batistuta. Gabriel Batistuta was born on 1st of February 1969 in Santa Fe, Argentina, and he was 6'2". Now, so for anybody that's listening to this that's a younger football fan that's probably under the age of 20, he was a very physical player. He was 6'2". He was strong. He was good in the air. He was very athletic.
And prolific as all.
Prolific as hell. He also didn't know how to place a football. He hit everything with absolute venom. He was brilliant. He played in the shoulder of the last man, and it used to be 2-man striker teams, so that he used to play in the shoulder of the last man, get through. His positional awareness was fantastic. I would compare him to somebody that, if you are younger and listening to this, maybe like a Didier Drogba, slightly like a Didier Drogba, not gifted with pace, probably not as physical as Didier, but the same build. They were both 6'2". They were both prolific goal scorers.
He reminds me a bit just because of the way he strikes the ball anyway, like, from his, another player that used to absolutely rocket a ball and, wasn't able to place it was Rivaldo.
Rivaldo as well.
Reminds me a wee bit of Rivaldo, like just the absolute thunder rocket of a shot.
Balls were also heavier back in the 90s. Do you mind the Mater balls? It used to be absolute bricks. So now when
one of them in the thigh wasn't fun.
Cold day and you hit the inside of the thigh, it was brutal. But yeah, footballs used to be a lot heavier. Nowadays they're easily hit. They're light. They swerve. They move in the air loads. Not back in the day, they were heavy as all hell, and Batistuta used to thump the living hell out of them. I've got a quote here about the way Batistuta hit the ball. Batistuta struck shots with such control and violence you'd think he had a vendetta against balls on nets. So yeah, in his early career, he's Argentinian, by the way. I think he maybe said that anyway. He played for a team called Platense or Platense. That's probably wrong.
That's butchered.
And absolutely. And he won a regional title with this team. That's when he was very young. He played and scored. Now I'm not sure how they ended up playing Newell's Old Boys, but he played and scored 2 goals against Newell's Old Boys. So a big enough team in Argentina, who were managed at the time by Bielsa.
Oh.
Yeah. So they were managed by Bielsa, and Bielsa was having all of that there and signed him the following season. So he signed for Newell's Old Boys and scored 5 goals in 20 appearances at the age of 20. So this is 88, 89. Obviously, he was seen as quite a big talent, and he signed for River Plate, which is obviously the biggest of the big probably in Argentina.
They're huge.
In 89 and 90.
Plus, for anyone listening too, back in them days, it wasn't like it is now. You know, a lot of South American players played their whole careers in South America.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like whenever you were, 18, 19, you were
Pele played his whole career in Brazil, like.
Yeah, that's it. Like, there were a lot sort of more competitive leagues back then, and a lot closer to the European leagues.
This was kind of the start when players started coming.
When people started
from
going
Maradona
regularly to Europe, but it was still a thing that a lot of players would have played in. They weren't snapped up for youth systems all around.
No.
It's like players. It's like players like Neymar, Vinicius. Once they are showing that talent at 17, 18, 19. The European clubs are straight in for them,
even their youth systems are signing up young Brazilians and Argentinians.
From sort of Maradona on the mid 80s and stuff, they started going across to Europe and making their money just because there was more money in European football. So he signed for River Plate in the 89 and 90 season and scored 17 goals. And then in the 1991 season, he signed for Boca. So River Plate and Boca are the two biggest clubs in Argentina, and he signed for Boca the following year.
That's a big rivals too.
Big rivals, aye. He struggled a little bit to start off his season at Boca, but he ended up being the top scorer, and they won the league, and he scored 19 goals that season. So then comes his big move to Italy. He went to Fiorentina. Fiorentina in the 90s were hit and miss at times, but I'm going to go into how they got on. Them purple kits, so good.
They have a lovely kit.
Fiorentina's part of the Big Seven, aren't they?
They are. It's Inter, AC, Juve, Roma, Lazio, and Fiorentina. That's the Big Seven clubs in. Oh, that's 6 maybe. There's maybe another one.
Maybe Miss Juve there, did you?
Napoli.
Maybe Napoli. Aye.
Big Seven anyway. They're part of it. Yeah.
So they're one of the most historic clubs in Italy or Fiorentina.
Yes.
So he signed for a whopping 2.25 million in 1991-92. Big money back in them days,
big money.
And he scored 13 goals in his debut season for Fiorentina, and they finished 12th. The next season is quite interesting. In the 92-93 season, Fiorentina were relegated, and he scored 19 goals. So he stayed with them. He stayed with them when they went down. He becomes a bit of a hero in Florence, like.
Yeah.
In 93-94 they won Serie B, and he scored 19 goals, and that was under the manager stewardship of Claudio Ranieri. So there's a few nice wee tidbits in this story from Gabby Batistuta. So in the night they got promoted. Obviously, they won Serie B.
What's interesting about this for me too is, I obviously know Batistuta and I've seen a lot of highlights of Batistuta, but I'm not 100% sure in his full career. What I mean?
It's because us boys were born in sort of 91, 92, and my earliest memories of football were the sort of in and around the 98 World Cup, because I got FIFA World Cup 98, which is still my all-time favourite FIFA. I've loaded it up multiple times. The graphics are horrendous, but it was brilliant for the time.
That's around the same time I sort of started watching.
I started watching.
My earliest memories probably the 99 Champions League final.
Yeah. So we were about 7 or 8 in around that time. I just distinctly, my dad was always big watching the World Cup, and the World Cup was in 98, so it was 7 or 8. And 7 to be fair, and I just remember watching plenty of the World Cup. I remember playing FIFA World Cup 98, and I was always Argentina. My dad always picked Brazil, and my uncle always picked France, and they were like 3 big teams obviously in the World Cup that year. And Batistuta was obviously the striker in 1998 for Argentina. So he started the 94-95 season, and he scored 28 goals that year. And he also, which is, I'm going to beat you for the best stat of the night here.
I've got one that might be running close, but
no, this one's quality. So he scored 28 goals that year, and he scored in the first 11 matches consecutively for Fiorentina. They finished 10th that year, but the fun stat for that is that he scored in 11 matches running, and he was under the manager or stewardship of Ranieri. 20 years later,
Vardy did it.
Yeah, for Leicester.
I think
11 matches running.
Ronaldo, did he not recently break that record?
Possibly.
I think he won 12
maybe
games in a row.
You could be right,
or something. I think he recently broke it.
But I thought that was a cool wee one.
Once you mentioned 11, I thought Vardy there.
Yeah, and Ranieri was the manager for both, so this is going to be how great.
Maybe it's the magic of Claudio.
Maybe it's the magic of Claudio. So Fiorentina finished 10th that year. They weren't a great side. You know, this was like Juve. There were so many good players like Roberto Baggio. You know, he was at Juve at the time.
Like Maldini beating about.
Maldini playing left back for AC Milan. AC had kind of tailed off a wee touch at this point in the sort of early 90s. Juve came to the fore a good bit. Lazio were good teams. Roma were good teams. Inter Milan as well. And all the best players played. I literally watched an episode of that Gazzetta Football Italia last night, and it's absolutely class. They're talking about links till when there was the episode I was watching last night. I just threw it on when I was researching this, and they were talking about Inter signing Javier Zanetti. So unbelievable stuff.
What a hero!
This football show on a Saturday morning was absolutely class. So he went into the 95-96 season, and he bagged 27 goals playing up front beside Manuel Rui Costa.
Rui Costa
was a baller too.
That's a blast from the past there.
Manuel Rui Costa. This episode is gonna be so nostalgic it hurt.
Yeah.
This was possibly his best year as far as production for Fiorentina. They won the Super Coppa Italia and the Coppa Italia that year, beating AC and Atalanta in both finals, and Batistuta scored in both finals. They finished 4th in the league. He went to the 96-97 season and he scored 18 goals and they finished in 9th. So they were a wee bit up and down, Fiorentina.
Yeah.
But they played in the old Cup Winners' Cup semi-final that year.
Yeah.
They got beat by Barca in the semis. But he scored in the Nou Camp. He was just a prolific goal scorer.
Just a natural goal scorer.
Prolific goal scorer. In the 97-98 season, he scored 24 goals and they finished in 5th place. And then in the 98-99 season, he scored 26 goals. So he scored, like, what you have to remember here is he was scoring 20 goals a season for most. He was scoring 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons, 5 seasons. 5 out of 6 seasons, he scored 20 goals or more in a league, which was the best
at the
time.
Didier Drogba's only did it once.
Really?
Yeah, over 20 goals. He's only scored over 20 goals once, and he's only scored over, I think it's 12 goals twice.
So we all know about
and we all know how revered Didier Drogba is as a fantastic goal scorer.
Gabby Batistuta was a goal machine, and you have to remember that this is the best league in the world with the best players in the world,
but actually the best defenses as well.
It's Italy, so it's even till today it's a defensive league, and this is when they had the best players there. So he's bagging goals in a ridiculously tough league.
That's bagging 25 goals a season in the Premier League now. Not how many players do it? Not very many.
Yeah. Where was that there? Sorry.
Only the elite ones.
Yeah. In 98-99, he scored 26 goals and Fiorentina finished 3rd. And he scored versus Arsenal and United in the Champions League. The one he scored against United was an absolute rocket. I watched.
Because the rest of them were all nice placed finishes into the corner.
He was very good in the air too.
You're calling them out there, Dave.
Call them out.
He was very good in the air. Was Batistuta as well, and also very athletic. He scored some sweet overheads as well.
Yeah.
They signed Fiorentina signed Giovanni Trapattoni. Around this time,
an Irish legend.
Well,
Irish gay shout out.
Aye. Well, less said about that, the better. They signed Trapattoni to keep him at Fiorentina. At this time, he was sort of thinking, I'm never going to really achieve a lot with Fiorentina. But he wanted to stay there. He's very loyal to Fiorentina. But he sort of was thinking, my career really isn't progressing. He won 2 cups for Fiorentina, obviously the Super Coppa and the Coppa Italia.
Yeah.
But, he desperately wanted to win Serie A. And he wasn't getting close. It was in and out. But he decided, they signed Trapattoni and to get him to stay. They had obviously finished in the Champions League places by finishing 3rd that year, and he thought, well, we can maybe move on next season and compete in the Champions League and, maybe challenge for a league title.
Yeah.
And following season then, obviously, he scored 28 goals, this is 99-2000, and he 28 goals, and they finished 7th in the league. So the year that he decided to stay, They finished 7th, and they got knocked out in the second group stage of the Champions League. Yes, children, there used to be 2 group stages in the Champions League. You didn't go into the round of 16, you followed in and went into another group stage. So the following year then he did decide to make his move, which was kind of sad because he was like just an absolute legend at Fiorentina. He was signed by Roma at the age of 31 for 32.5 million.
That's a big coin.
Which is a big coin. So this tells you how good he was, you know. It was the highest price for a player over 30 up until Bonucci there a couple of years ago in 2017. So there was the most money ever paid for a player over the age of 30 up until Bonucci there 2 seasons ago. So even that with inflation at the time, this is what they were signing. Absolutely world class
and
striker.
His prime striker, primed and ready to go.
He had started to pick up a lot of injuries. Actually, it was a wee bit sad reading up about this year. Apparently, after his career, he cut his career short, and he was having trouble walking. He played through a lot of injuries. His ankles were in absolute tatters after. He said
that's back before modern medicine, where players, it was sort of seen as tough to play through your injuries rather than dangerous and potentially career.
Apparently, he couldn't get out of bed for days on end. Like, this is after he retired and stuff. So his career pretty much dropped off a hill after his first season at Roma. So I'll go into this a wee bit. This is 2000 and 2001. So he's only 31 at this stage. Like, and you think a striker that doesn't really rely on pace, more like instinct, positioning. He's quite physical awareness. A really intelligent striker could last longer. But in 2000, 2001, he scored 21 goals and he finally won Serie A. They won it that year. Roma did, which is kind of sad because he didn't get it with Fiorentina.
He'd have been in there with Totti too, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I think if I recall correctly, that was Totti's only Serie A win.
It was Roma's first league title since 1983, and it's been their last league title, so they haven't won it since. So they brought him in.
He scored. And Batistuta, what a front two.
A young
Totti,
Francesco Totti.
Yeah.
After that, he won his Scudetto, and then it just fell off a cliff for him. The following 2 seasons, he scored 12 goals total, and injuries were really taking his toll on him. He went on loan to Inter at 34, and he retired soon after that. I think he went and played in the Middle East for somebody for season or something as well, nothing major at all, but he fell off real quickly. Like, there were seasons just racked with injuries. He obviously won only 2 trophies with Fiorentina and then 1 with Roma, so not like a heavy list of titles, but an absolutely fantastic striker that was kind of ruined a wee bit by injuries and the place that he was in. He absolutely loved living in Florence. He loved the fans, he loved the city, and they loved him. Just to round out, I'll go into his Argentina career, which was much more successful, really, than his club career. But he played for Argentina, obviously, and in '91 he won the Copa America, and it was at the Copa America got him his move to Italy.
Yeah.
He was a top scorer with 6 goals, and Argentina won. The following year was the Confederations Cup, and they won it again. They won the Confederations the following year as well, and he was top scorer in it. In '93, he won the Copa America again. They won 2-1 in the final over Mexico, and he scored both. So he's got 2 Copa Americas and the Confederations Cup in 3 years. Going into the World Cup in 1984. The World Cup in 1984 for Argentina was a complete just shit show. This was Maradona making his comeback. This was in the US, so this was I think it was the last World Cup played in the United States. And Maradona decided that he was coming out of retirement or whatever, and he decided to show up. They got eliminated in the round of 16 by a very good Romanian squad, but he scored 4 goals in 4 games, did Gabriel Batistuta, but the team was completely destroyed because Maradona was sent home for testing positive. I don't know what for, but I'm assuming it was for everything. So that was a bit disappointing. They got in their own way a wee bit there with the Maradona thing. Rolling on forward another bit to the '98 World Cup, and he scored a hat-trick. He was the first player to score a hat-trick in 2 different World Cups. So he had scored one in 1984, he scored one again in 1988. And they were beat by Holland in the quarters, and that was the Dennis Bergkamp game. The last minute goal, the one, from he plays, I think it's the defender plays the ball, the guts of 60 yards from inside his own half, and Bergkamp takes 2 touches, kills it, and bangs it in. That Bergkamp goal.
Right.
So they got eliminated in the quarters by that goal from Dennis Bergkamp.
Dennis Bergkamp compilation videos on YouTube or things.
I've seen some absolutely wonderful highlights last night. He decided that he was going to play in 2002 in the World Cup. He was 32, 33 at this stage. He was past his best, obviously.
He's taking a toll.
Yeah, and he was really slow, and he said that he was going to retire from international football anyway after this. He basically only went because Bielsa was the manager of Argentina at this point, but they didn't get out of the group. He scored in a 1-0 victory over Nigeria, and they lost England 1-0.
Beckham scored the penalty, didn't they?
Yeah.
They said that was like the retribution game for Beckham after 98.
And then Sweden, they drew, so they didn't get out of the group. So it was a bit of a slow end to his career. It sort of fell off. He's an absolutely fantastic player. He bagged goals relentlessly in the toughest league in the world. A brilliant striker. Like, as I said at the start, kids and stuff these days are a wee bit spoiled because they've seen 40-goal seasons every season for Cristiano and Lionel.
Yeah.
Whereas back then,
like once they retire, it'll seem come back to normality with.
Like Salah got criticism last year because he only scored 22 goals in the league. You don't score 30 goals in the league every year. And you don't score 40-goal seasons.
It doesn't happen unless you're Ronaldo or Messi. There's a reason that them two players have broke as many records as they have, and that's because they're different gravy.
This man was a phenomenal player. Just to round out, Diego Maradona said he was the best striker he's seen play. And he finished his international career with 54 goals in 77 appearances.
That's a fine return.
That's absolutely outstanding return. So 54 and 77 is over, and he was the top scorer for Argentina all time until Lionel passed him in 2016. He finished his club career with 189 goals. This is his club career in Italy, sorry. Right. So he scored 199 goals in 344 appearances in Italy, and that was even including the sort of barren years, the last couple. So an insane goal return for an absolutely fantastic player. And just as a wee thing to round him out, there's a statue of Messi and Maradona in Buenos Aires, and there's also one directly beside that, and it is Gabriel Batistuta.
Yeah.
So that is the reverence he is held with. He is Messi and Maradona reverence. Yeah. There's Mario Kempes, there's other brilliant players that have played for Argentina. The statues are horrific looking, by the way. I had to Google them. But they're really bad.
There's some bad statues out there.
But it's Messi, it's Maradona, and it's Gabriel Batistuta.
I think that from what I recall from Batistuta, I know he was a hero at like Fiorentina, but like I think because whenever I was getting into football, like whenever it was like 9 or 10, it would have been around that time. It would have been where he was with Roma. And I remember him being at Roma and just like the hype about him and all, but obviously
he was past his best.
He was past his best, but it was nice to see that he did get with Serie A trophy to credit his years in it.
He actually, the year that they won against Serie A, he scored against Fiorentina. And he had like a sort of, he was crying and all on the pitch and stuff like that there. And they
clearly had.
There's a statue of him in Florence too.
Clearly had love for Fiorentina.
Yeah. Brilliant player. But
I might jump in now then, will I?
Big Crip.
Because I went for a player that is remembered for all
I don't know who you went for. I don't know who you two men have went for.
I went for a player that's remembered for all the wrong reasons, and it's upsetting to me. So I've decided, to shower loads of love on him, and I know both of you men are going to shower all the love on him as well.
Right.
And I went for the Brazilian Ronaldo.
Yes.
See all this here, people saying, "Oh, fat Ronaldo," and and when anyone says Ronaldo, it's all Cristiano Ronaldo. No, this is Ronaldo.
this like if I think he's better than Cristiano, and that's going to get an awful lot of heat. But see that young, Ronaldo
in his prime,
injuries.
In his prime. Well, we'll go into that.
Sorry, I'm going to dive. This is going to be we're going to do this podcast a few times because we're going to keep going back to it. We're not going to do it all the time.
But we're going to go back to it a few times. We'll go back and we'll pick another 3 legends and we'll sort of go into their careers and things. It's a way to do it. But
I only finished Ronaldo's book recently. Like, the Brazilian Ronaldo.
Well, in that case, you might know more about that than me. But, we're going to start off. Well, Ronaldo showcased his impressive goal-scoring ability at Cruzeiro. That's probably poorly pronounced.
That's not bad. That's
Cruzeiro.
That's pretty spot on.
Yeah. I helped the club win its first Brazilian Cup championship in 1993. The talented 17-year-old was also named in the Brazilian national team for 1994. However, he spent most of it on the bench. But at 17 years of age, to be called up to the Brazil national team
it was crazy. They won the World Cup that year, by the way. They beat Italy.
They won it, and that was the year in the United States they won it.
Roberto Baggio missed the penalty. That was Romario's team. Romario might get a wee shout some stage down the line.
He was a crazy goal scorer.
After the amount of goals he scored in Cruzeiro and getting called up to the World Cup squad, he was quickly snapped up into Europe by PSV.
Yeah.
In 1994, he averaged nearly a goal a game against in top-notch European competition, because this was
Holland at the time.
This was Holland. Whenever Holland Ajax were winning Champions Leagues, and the Dutch league was. It's not like
again. We've said it before earlier. A lot of players stayed in their own league for a period of time.
Yeah. But the Dutch league, back then was incredible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And he spent 2 years with PSV, which were followed up by 1 year with Barcelona, and then moved on to Inter Milan.
See, this period of Ronaldo's career, this is when he was the best footballer I have ever seen.
This is when he was Messi and Ronaldo level. Like if injuries hadn't have, we'll get onto the injuries, but if injuries hadn't have
completely derailed
his career, he was so fast, skillful, strong. Nobody could make a defender look as silly as him. The closest I've seen in my lifetime is probably Kylian Mbappe at the minute, for a player at that age who can do that to defenses.
But it's Kylian Mbappe,
and even then he was much stronger than Kylian. It's a Kylian Mbappe mixed with Hulk.
Yeah, I think that whenever he was at PSV, he was scouted by Bobby Robson, and Bobby Robson managed Barca for 1 year.
Yeah,
and Bobby brought him to Barca, and I think it kind of was like, he was told, he says, if you get this wrong, this could actually get you sacked, on the spot, or, or it could just go against you. I know he only stayed there for a year, but Bobby was the reason, I think, that, that Ronaldo went. And Ronaldo loves him for it.
Ronaldo bounced
just how he's remembered now as sort of fat Ronaldo and all these sorts of things. It's such a disgrace.
It's an absolute disgrace.
He was literally one of the best players, arguably the best striker, number 9, to ever play the game of football.
Oh, he is. I absolutely defend that to the hilt. He is the best. He's the best.
In his prime, of course, it has to be taken into consideration longevity and things like that, and he definitely didn't play at the highest level for many years.
No.
But when he was at the highest level, he was at the highest level.
This period with PSV, Inter, and Barca, he was completely unplayable. Unplayable.
I have some crazy stats down the line about how.
Go on ahead, Terry, on that, because I'm going to dive in and tell you what I learned in that book that caused him a lot of problems.
Well, I'll go through a few wee points here, and then I'll let you dive in and give us another wee history lesson to you. Because all the man's.
I've been buzzing for this podcast.
You're bouncing over there.
But so during that period, he twice won the FIFA World Player of the Year, and he carried his teams to victory in the Dutch Cup and the Spanish Super Cup. Big things were expected in Ronaldo. They're from Ronaldo, and Brazil in the 1998 World Cup in France. And while he was named the Golden Ball winner and the Cup's best player, it ended in a sour note for Ronaldo when he suffered a convulsive fit before the final, and he was quite ineffective in the 3-0 loss.
That was the biggest disappointment
ever. It was, he tore that tournament apart.
My first experiences of watching football is completely and utterly centered around Brazilian football. My dad was a massive international football fan, and Brazil were the team. It's that yellow and the blue and the white, and I went in. That was my first memories of football before I supported Liverpool. Before anything, it was Ronaldo and the Brazilian 98 World Cup team, which was unbelievable. Although, as I said, I did pick and play with Batistuta a ton.
And then, after that, the bigger setbacks followed Ronaldo when he ruptured his knee tendon in November 1989 and re-injured it 5 months later, which had him out of action for basically 2 years. He made his triumphant return in time for the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan, in which he netted 8 goals at a World Cup.
That's when he got himself fit again.
Yep. And he won the Golden Boot, obviously, the Cup's top goal scorer, best player at the Cup.
Best haircut at the tournament.
I led Brazil to its 5th World Championship. It was.
And their last.
Yep.
I remember that was it twice he scored in the final against Germany 2-0?
Oh, yeah.
Oliver Kahn too?
Oliver Kahn? Absolutely.
I remember watching that game.
He's one of the most delicious footballers to watch.
The haircut.
For any younger viewers out there that just know him as Fat Ronaldo and laugh at the idea of him, just watch some of his stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a player with more pace, more power, more finesse, more skill. Go on ahead, Dave.
I can't give it correctly because can't remember it. But Ronaldo has a stat where he is the player. It's like I can't remember. It's like 20% of his goals he dribbled past the keeper. I know
exactly what you're talking about because I have it written down here.
Yes, Christopher.
In his where are we at here? It's definitely written down here somewhere.
Hit me with it, Dave. I can't remember.
I'm gonna hit you with it.
It's there somewhere.
It's there somewhere. But I've a lot of notes here.
All right, sorry. Go on ahead, lad. I'm jumping in. I'm too excited.
He was just brilliant at that World Cup.
It's something about he scored 20% of his goals were scored by dribbling around the keeper.
Mm-hmm.
And for his goal return in his total career, it's a ridiculous.
It was 88 goals out of his career goals, which was 25% of his goals were scored by dribbling past the goalkeeper, which is 88 goals dribbling past the goalkeeper.
Happens do you remember the one where he used to
he would take on the last defender, leave him absolutely for dead, go on to the keeper, just round him like it was nothing.
6 step overs and the ball wouldn't even move; it would just keep going straight. There was the one. Do you remember the one he scored? I think it was for Inter Milan, where he goes up and instead of doing the step over, he just drops his shoulder left, right, and left, and the keeper lays down. He doesn't do anything, and then he just moves the ball to the side because the keeper's on the deck and taps it.
It's like the keeper's just like a computer game.
It was 337 games or goals he had scored in his whole career of club and country, and 88 of them being, dribbling past the goalkeeper is just insane. I mean,
you don't see that now.
No,
he was
the best striker of all
time. But he transferred to Real Madrid that fall, winning the FIFA World Player of the Year award for the 3rd time. Before leading his new club to the La Liga and Spanish Super Cup championships in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's just different gravy. He appeared in one final World Cup in Brazil 2006. Although Brazil were knocked out in the quarterfinals by France, which I remember that game quite well. Ronaldo had scored 3 times, and he actually set the record for 15 goals in World Cup play.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in here and cut you off, but that game against France, you said they lost to. That was a game where Zidane dictated everything, wasn't it?
No, Zidane had one of the best individual performances.
That was
unbelievable.
Zidane was one of the most hit and miss players, but see, when he was on, he was on.
I cannot have you ever say a bad word about Zidane. Unbelievable.
He was, when he wanted to be a world beater, he was a world beater, but he wasn't always a world beater.
Well. Okay.
Consistency issues, Dave. I love Zidane, but he did have consistency issues.
Love Zizou.
But Ronaldo then transferred to AC Milan in 2007, but in 2008 he sustained another serious knee injury, and AC Milan just didn't renew his contract, and this is just where it sort of ended for the man. And he returned to his home country in 2009 to play for Corinthians. He helped them to victories in the league and Brazilian Cup that year. And then in 2011, he announced his retirement after more injuries. It was a sad way for it all to end for the man.
Always had weight issues, but it was more because what I learned from reading his book was Nike did him over. Hey, it's an absolute travesty. They bought early on in the early 90s, or I think probably prior to the United States World Cup in 1984. Nike had bought the rights to Brazilian football, or something along those lines, or not Brazilian football, the Brazilian national team.
Yeah.
And that's when you had, remember all the Diogo Benito stuff and all coming out, and that's why always Brazil were heavily featured. Nike owned the rights to, the Brazilian Football Federation is meant to be corrupt as all hell. I think it still might be. I'm not entirely sure, but they made him play. He was, when teams were having time off and going on breaks, winter breaks and stuff like that there, or playing, he was maybe flying, he had a week off and say he was playing for Inter, and he would be nursing an injury, and they would shoot his knee full of cortisone, and then he would go and have to have an obligation to play for a showpiece spectacle maybe in China for the Brazilian national football team. So he'd be flying from Italy to China and back again for the weekend that period between 94 and about 2000 or 99 was Ronaldo at his absolute peak, and they completely ruined him after
unplayable. And even after a couple of years out and with his knee injuries and things, when he was at Real Madrid, he was still a force to be reckoned with.
The one knock is he doesn't have a Champions League, which is sad.
Oh, it is sad. Like, either does Ibrahimovic.
Yeah.
I actually seen there Ibrahimovic. I think he's the third most decorated footballer of all time. Like,
league medals everywhere.
League medals everywhere and cup medals everywhere, but he's never won a Champions League.
I think I've seen some.
And here, like, if Ibrahimovic had come up in a period with no Messi or Ronaldo, like, I'm sure he'd have had a Ballon d'Or too. Like,
yeah.
There's a sad team I've seen there not so long ago where it was like an 11 of players that never won the Champions League, and I think Ronaldo and Ibra was in it.
Yeah.
Ronaldo was a god, like, absolute god.
But I have some of his stats written down here, and some of his honours, and he has a lot of honours.
All of them.
All of the honours. You know, from anyone out there who thinks he's just a fat Ronaldo and Cristiano's shadow, like, he is you just don't know.
You just don't know.
Yeah. But his club in his club career, he had played 343 games, scoring 247 goals, and for the Brazilian national team, in 98 games, he had scored 62 goals. Only Pele is more, like.
Small. And
think of all the legends that played for Brazil.
Oh, totally, aye.
And his honours for Cruzeiro, he had won I'm going to butcher this. It's the Campeonato Mineiro.
Campeonato.
Thank you, Dave.
It's top goal scorer.
It's in 1994.
I learned this by Italy.
The Copa do Brazil in 1993. In PSV, he had obviously won the Dutch Cup in 95-96 and the Johan Cruyff Shield in 96 as well. In Barcelona, the Copa del Rey 96-97, the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup 96-97, and the Super Copa de España in 1996.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, Inter Milan, he won the UEFA Cup in 97-98.
That season was absolutely unbelievable.
Oh.
And another thing that happened at this time, Ronaldo had a really dodgy agent. And his agent was set, like, that's why, like, why would a player of that unbelievable talent move, like, obviously he does the move from Brazil to PSV, you're gonna then move to a bigger club. He moves till Barca.
But yeah, Barca for 1 year.
He plays in Barcelona for 1 year. He had a really dodgy agent, and this agent was selling him, and it was again to do with this Nike carry-on too, and this agent was looking at all the money, and he played for 1 year at Barcelona. If you've got an unbelievably world-class talent, an all-time talent, why are you playing 1 year at a club like Barca? Then he went to Inter, and then away again, so Ronaldo had a really hard time of it. Like,
yeah, it wasn't like he moved from PSV and went to the Spanish league and struggled, because he didn't.
No, he definitely didn't. No. At this time, he was the greatest player on the planet.
No, he went into the 1998 World Cup as a child. What, I think, was he like 21?
Yep, 21.
And he completely...
Like, he was 17 when he, like, 18 when he moved to PSV, like, and from 18 to 22, Mbappe looks terrible compared to...
He went into that 98 World Cup. I read it in that book, and just to focus on that, like, for a minute or two, he went into that World Cup final. He had carried Brazil the whole tournament. That Brazil team was decent. It wasn't unbelievable. It wasn't the 2002 team. It wasn't even the 2006 team. It was okay. It was a good enough. It was in a transition. They had just won the World Cup.
It was coming out of a hangover, sort of, wasn't it? It was that transition period where they come.
He put them on his back and carried them to the World Cup final. And you did mention it, Dave.
But he won the Player of the Year, the top goal scorer of the tournament. He was literally.
But he went into that final, and he went into the final against France in France, and he had a massive panic attack that day. He was sharing a room, I think, now from the book I remember, was Roberto Carlos, and Roberto Carlos thought he died. The whole team was in tears. Everybody was not good. There was so much panic around. They brought doctors into the room. Then there was the thing leading up to the game where this got out, and the media was focusing on, like, something's happened to Ronaldo. We don't know what's happened to Ronaldo. He's not going to play. Then the next thing comes in. The team sheet comes in for the final, and Ronaldo's in the team sheet. Apparently apparently the manager was asking him and. Well, like, are you fit to play? This was in the changing room prior to a World Cup final.
Yeah.
And the manager was asking him, are you okay to play? And he's obviously 21 years old. He's playing in a World Cup final for Brazil, where football is a religion. Mm-hmm. And then he's sort of nearly forced into playing the final. The whole team walked out, like, hand in hand and everything. They had just experienced something completely traumatic. They thought, like, he died. And now he's playing, and then they get trampled on. This shows you how bad the Brazilian board was for him.
He was... like he was in no fit. You could even see from the game and watching
the players weren't even in a fit shape. Like
the players weren't mentally okay. Like if that happened nowadays,
Jesus,
you know,
you'd be locked up.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I didn't even know that happened.
Oh, it happened now.
No,
like he had a massive, like he was laying on the bed,
convulsive fit basically, and he was like, you know.
He was sharing, I think it was
foaming at the mouth and all. Like,
I think it was Roberto Carlos sharing a room with him, and he was bawling his eyes out. He didn't know what the hell had happened.
Did they reckon it was just afterwards? Did they just reckon it was a panic attack due to the pressure he was under, or what?
He had been under pressure for 4 or so years now. He was a 17-year-old lad thrust as the next Pele and on the world stage.
Brought to the World Cup and all at 17, in 1984.
That's the sort of Brazil trend. You know, they've got the Pelés, and then like, you know, obviously it's like one guy is sort of the face of the team, because you've got like
Neymar now, like, you know,
Neymar, you had Ronaldinho.
But as I was saying, with to carry on with, like, he was going through a crazy time. Like, it was like going, you know, moving to Barcelona. He's a 17-year-old lad. He moves to PSV. Then the next season he's in Barcelona. The next season he's in Inter
Milan for 2 years.
He's flying off doing all these crazy events for Nike and Brazil, and being compulsory to do them. This agent's moving him around all the time. It's a crazy story. He got completely ruined. His injury, he was hurt at the time too, and they were forcing him to play. And he was like shooting his knees up with cortisone and everything to try and play.
Oh, it's craziness! Like, and even in the 2002 World Cup, to come, like, you know, after all his knee injuries and stuff, to get himself fit and come in and score 8 goals in the two. Oh my!
He was the top goal scorer all the time, wasn't he? And then Klose passed him.
Yeah, Klose passed him, but he was the top goal scorer. And to think of, you know, his career ending early and all, like Klose was still going to World Cups in his mid-30s.
Like, Klose was a longevity thing.
You know,
that was actually we side stat. I think I forgot to bring it up. I was looking at the goals to game ratio for Batistuta. Like, I think Totti has scored 250 goals in his Serie A career, but I think Batistuta had 189. But I think Gabby had only like 3,500 games, whereas Totti had like 600 or something.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, go ahead, Big Grip.
But so next of all was in Real Madrid, where he obviously won the La Liga 2002-2003, the Intercontinental Cup 2002, and the Supercopa de España. Yeah. In 2003. And then obviously in the Corinthians, he won the Capitano Paulista.
No idea.
And the Copa do Brazil in 2009.
Yeah.
So for Brazil, he won 2 World Cups, 1984 and 2002. World Cup runner-up, 1998. 2 Copa Americas, 1997 and 1989. Copa America runner-up in 1995. And the FIFA Confederations Cup in 1987. I mean, he carried that Brazil team for years.
Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. And
a few of his individual awards, which there's plenty, Phil, so, you know, forgive me for rhyming off a huge list here, but he won so many. The Copa Libertadores top goal scorer in 1983. Copa Libertadores Team of the Year the same year. Eredivisie top goal scorer in 1984. FIFA Player of the Year 3 times in 1986, 1987, 2002. He won the Ballon d'Or twice in 1987 and in 2002. And, you know, after the 2 years out on knee injury, to be coming back and win, you know, FIFA Player of the Year and the Ballon d'Or, he was different gravy. La Liga top goal scorer twice in 96, 97 and then 2003, 2004 for both Barca and Madrid. European Golden Shoe, 1986, 1987. He won World Soccer Magazine's World Player of the Year in 96, 97 and 2002.
And this is when he's in like his early 20s.
Oh, yeah. This is a player of, you know, 18, 19, 20, that sort of age group.
Unbelievable.
The Don Balon Award, it's basically for the La Liga Foreign Player of the Year. He won it in 96, 97. The Copa America MVP in 97. He made the Confederations Cup All-Star team in 97. The MVP of the UEFA Cup in 97. Copa America All-Star team twice in 97 and 99. World's top goal scorer of the year in 97. The Bravo Award twice in 97 and 98. European Footballer of the Season in 96, 97. He made 2 FIFA World 11s in 97 and 98. He won the Serie A Footballer of the Year in 98. Serie A Foreign Footballer of the Year in 98. Don't you
dare say Fat Ronaldo ever again.
He won the UEFA Cups MVP in 98. UEFA Cup Footballer of the Year in 97, 98. He won the UEFA Club Best Forward in 97, 98. FIFA World Cup Golden Ball in 98.
Yep.
FIFA World Cup All-Star, or the World Cup All-Star team twice in the 98 World Cup and the 2002 World Cup. And another thing is he was the top assist provider in the World Cup in 1998.
Unreal. Oh, he put the team on his back.
FIFA World Cup Golden Boot 2002. World Cup MVP 2002. UEFA Team of the Year in 2002. He's also in the FIFA Top 100 Players. He's in the Brazilian Museum's Hall of Fame. He won the Golden Foot Award in 2006. He's in France Football Magazine's all-time starting 11.
Yeah.
He's in the Association Football of Statisticians. So, you know, the guys who, you know, the analytics guys.
Yeah.
He's in the top 100 players of all time. Sports Illustrated's Team of the Decade. He's in the Real Madrid Hall of Fame, Italian Football Hall of Fame, Inter Milan Hall of Fame. I mean,
I love it. I absolutely love that human being.
The guy for a few years was literally like that list of individual honours rivals anybody.
I'll have him over Cristiano every day of the week. I'm not going to lie about it.
Doesn't look too bad in the CV, does it?
Well, I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, he reached the levels of Cristiano Ronaldo, but he didn't have the longevity of Cristiano Ronaldo.
No, I mean, I can't win an argument with longevity, trophies, and things like that.
Because, Ronaldo's 35 is still banging in goals.
Oh, definitely.
But, of course, Ronaldo, when he was sort of, like, you know, when Ronaldo was at his peak, Cristiano was still a step-over merchant who, you know, didn't have any, like, much end product and was all skills and flicks and flashiness until Fergie sort of bait that out of him.
I think we are going to...
But for God-given natural talent, is there anyone that beats, like, you know, Ronaldo from the age of 17 till the age of, like, till, like, you know, maybe 21, 22 before them injuries started, for just God-given the amount of goals he scored, for his pace, his strength, his power... Unbelievable. And of course he had a couple of years out with injury and worked his ass off to get his fitness back for the 2002 World Cup to come back and score 8 goals.
Yeah.
You know, to, you know, be the top goal scorer at Madrid and La Liga, to be the top goal scorer in the Champions League that year, you know, to go on win La Liga, to go on win. He's just incredible.
Unbelievable.
He's absolutely brilliant, like, and
I think we might link a couple of highlights videos for anybody that's younger on our YouTube page.
Yeah, on our YouTube page. Click into our YouTube page and
give us a like and comment. But we're gonna put a couple of wee links to highlights packages for some of these players. Yeah. Nostalgia for anybody that's our age, and a history lesson for anybody that's younger.
And hopefully anyone who listens to this will no longer refer to him as Fat Ronaldo or the other Ronaldo.
You'll call him R9 and be done with it.
Yeah, you'll call him R9 and just accept that he was unbelievable. And without injuries and without the problems that he faced in his career, like if he would have had the longevity that a Messi and a Ronaldo has, what could his career have been like? He'd be talked about as arguably the GOAT.
Aye. Bestie, we're going to have to get over to you because me and Dev took up 50 minutes.
So I have to do it in 5 minutes, 10 minutes here?
No. We'll go over like you have 20 minutes, Bestie. You have 20 minutes.
This is why I go first usually.
we knew that this was going to be
I was trying to decide who to go for, and then just thinking about it and all the bad press that Ronaldo gets now, I was just like, I can't let that lie. For any kids that haven't watched Ronaldo play, I need to shower all the love on Ronaldo.
Girona now, Girona in Spain. I think he owns it.
I had looked at doing Ronaldo, but my choice has went for a player, as said at the start of the show.
You're following two. By the way, Batistuta and Ronaldo played in Italy at the same time for a while.
They did. Mm-hmm. One of them was better than the other.
Oh, Ronaldo's better than Batistuta.
Have you any idea who I may have went for? It's probably won't come to your...
Keith Andrews.
Give me a nationality vest.
Dutch.
Oh.
Edgar Davids, Mark Overmars.
It's not Mark Overmars.
Oh,
is it Edgar Davids?
No.
Clarence Seedorf.
It's Clarence Seedorf.
Oh, good shout, Dave.
It's Clarence Seedorf. So I went for Seedorf because...
Another great player.
I love Clarence Seedorf.
So do I.
The thing with Clarence Seedorf is that particularly in the latter stage of his career when he was at AC, that was such a brilliant team.
Unbelievable.
Like 2 Champions Leagues in the space of 7 years. 03, wasn't it 03?
02 maybe, 02 or 03, and then...
Obviously Liverpool 05 in Istanbul, and then 2007 again when they played them again. Seedorf was part of them teams. This guy deserves credit because the team, as I said, the team was full of Iniesta, Maldini, Kaká, Shevchenko, Pirlo,
Crespo
was there as well.
Give Crespo some love, please.
If you look at that 2005 AC Milan team that lined up against Liverpool, I don't know how they lost. That is one of the best assembled. If you look at that team on paper. It's, I think, if I'm correct in saying, it's Dida, Net, right back, Cafu, Stam, Nesta, Maldini, Gattuso, Pirlo, Clarence Seedorf, Xhaka, Shevchenko, and Hernan Crespo.
It's a seriously good team.
It's so mental.
And a brilliant manager in Ancelotti.
Yeah.
So I've done Clarence Seedorf strictly for the reason is because he's a world-class player, but he's just sort of not always thought of when it comes to mind of a first-class player, particularly.
He doesn't get the love he deserves.
Doesn't get the love he deserves, so...
We're going to be going down some rabbit holes when we get into these players. We're going to, obviously, there's a few big hitters who went off the board, but we're going to get into it a bit.
Clarence Seedorf has quite one of the most loveliest sort of resumes you could ask for.
A beautiful smile.
A beautiful smile, and he's really dead on as well. He's really cool and dead
really
on.
good.
You've had a few drinks with him, have you?
Have you?
He was doing that coverage for the World Cups and all.
I love Seedorf. Such a gifted footballer.
Go ahead, best day.
He's so good in terms of he's really quick, technically gifted, quite strong as well.
Powerful runner.
Very much a box to box sort of player.
Oh, absolutely.
He was kind of, if you even look in that Milan team he was in the midfield with Pirlo, who was pulling the passes.
There was the tackler, there was the passer, and then there was Clarence who could do absolutely everything.
You had Gattuso doing the dirty work while Pirlo pulled the passes, and then Clarence Seedorf was running sort of like the engine in between the midfield, going box to box.
And then Xhaka just did what he wanted.
Him and Xhaka had a nice wee sort of interaction where they would create the space and passes. It was great to watch. Great dribbler as well, and great passing ability.
Seedorf's match intelligence too. He was one of the smartest footballers. He read the game like no one else. He read the game like a Paul Scholes, but with a much more natural sort of pace, strength,
we use
skill.
the expression Dutch as.
He also, as well as being able to be very good in midfield with his abilities, he was also very good at scoring free kicks. He had also a nice. Powerful shot on him as well.
There's that goal he scored for Real Madrid from the halfway line. He absolutely, and it's not it's not a David Beckham, the keeper's not in his lane thing. It's I'm hitting this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be stopped.
Yeah.
Scored long rangers and nice sweet chip shots as well. So he was very much a flair player as well.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of his career, then Clarence started off at Ajax, and that Ajax team around the mid-90s was just
they won the Champions League in 96, was it?
They won the Champions League in 94-95.
Wow, we're all
wrong.
So
I was going way too late.
When he was with Ajax, he won the league twice.
Van der Sar, the goat of goalkeepers.
Jari Litmanen. He won the KNVB Cup once. He also
just say Dutch Cup, lad.
He also won the Cruyff Shield once.
Yeah.
And he then made the move to Italy. He went to Sampdoria for one season. He played 30-odd games. He scored
I didn't actually know he went to Sampdoria.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
He went to Sampdoria first, and he scored a handful of goals, and they finished 8th in the table that year. He then made the move to Real, won the La Liga once, won the Supercopa de España once, and he won a second Champions League in the 97-98 season.
Unbelievable.
So he's already at a young age. And
Clarence's resume is really good.
His resume is class. Shortly after this, I think it was mid-season 99-2000, or else at the start of the season, I'm not 100%, but he played some games for Inter. Sorry, he played some games for Real, then he made his move to Inter.
Yeah.
So he played for Inter for 3 seasons. Not so much joy in terms of winning anything, of any trophies or any shields or anything like that there, but definitely played some good football nonetheless down those 3 years. Then we get to the point where we most know him for, particularly our sort of age.
Yeah.
Whereas he's playing in AC. His AC stats, his resume is real good. He's had 2 Serie A's to his name. He's also got a Coppa Italia, Supercoppa Italiana twice, and the Champions League twice in 02, 03, and 06, 07, and what should have been 05 as well.
Oh, definitely should have been 05 as well.
But one thing as well.
That comeback, you were loving it, Dave. Is there not a story I think I recall you telling? Did you not have a Liverpool flag out your window that you took in at half time?
Oh, I was an absolute rip. So I was about 14 or 15 at the time.
Yeah.
And Liverpool flag out the window. Obviously, you're not going drinking when you're 14 or 15, so I was watching it at home. And then I'm nearly entirely sure this is back in the day when ATV had it in terrestrial television.
Oh, they did, yeah.
So was watching it in my bedroom. Then half time happened, took the flag in, absolutely fuming, went up and made myself a cup of tea. My mum was asking, what's the score? Fully knowing and totally knowing well what the score was.
Good work, Teresa.
Wind them up, Teresa.
How's it going? You know how it's going, woman. Nearly ready to wreck the house. And then experienced the best sort of
45 minutes of your life.
45 followed by a excruciating another 45 with them being all over us and the extra time, and then penalties.
Mind watching the game, it was absolutely crazy.
It was.
That comeback.
Shut up, free Champions League.
You know what? There's gonna be as we said, we're gonna go back to this a few times and cover it. Not all the time, maybe once a month, every 5-6 weeks. We're gonna go back and do a retro football show, and there'll be a few players from that AC Milan team talked about. And there's one of them I'm talking about, and if you take him, I'll kill you.
He's Brazilian, isn't he?
One of the players I was considering talking about was Maxwell. That's a player who's had an under the radar career, but he's been everywhere and won everything. Is he not one of the most decorated players of all time? Second in the list, I think. Behind Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Cristiano.
No. Back to his resume, he's also got a UEFA Super Cup twice with AC, and he's also got a FIFA Club World Cup once as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the latter stage of his career, he winded down with Botafogo.
No idea who they are.
Brazilian.
So he won a couple of wee trophies with them as well. So even when he was winding down his career, he won a few wee trophies. So his resume everywhere he goes is just real impressive. Like when you look down that list, there's so many good things that stand out. In terms of his international career, he was called up age 18 in '84 and scored in a 5-0 win. He actually, sadly enough, missed a penalty in Euro '96, the quarterfinals, in a defeat to France.
Mm-hmm.
He's also played in Euro 2000 and 2004. He's also played in the 1988 World Cup. And all those tournaments he's played in he got to the semi-finals with the Dutch in.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he didn't play in Euro 2008 because there was increasing tension between him and Marco van Basten, who was managing them.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't as if Clarence was over the hill at this point either, because he was about maybe 2008, so he was late 20s, so he wasn't over the hill by any means. But
Clarence Seedorf also kept himself in ridiculous shape. Ridiculous shape. He was so fit, like.
He was very fit. So the tension with Van Basten wasn't good, and Van Basten decided to select players such as Van Persie, Van der Vaart, and Sneijder to go to the.
Not bad at the same time.
Sneijder died out young, but he was a player that was.
Yeah.
So he.
Brilliant in his prime.
Just before the Euro 2008 tournament, he had decided that he would retire. So he retired with the Dutch team with 37 appearances and 11 goals. So still pretty impressive in terms of his international career.
Yeah, he was an incredible player.
Some of his individual awards is real good too. Maybe not as long as Ronaldo's list, but certainly credible.
Credible.
Not many people have won as long as Ronaldo's list.
No.
I like this stat as much as I don't like Madrid. He's in the Real team of the century, which was in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I like that stat.
OG Galacticos.
Mm-hmm. He's in the UEFA Team of the Year 2002 and 2007. UEFA Best Midfielder twice. Mm-hmm. Also Dutch Football Talent of the Year in '83 and '84, and he's in the AC Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
He's also the only player who has won the Champions League with 3 different teams. Now, I say that Sami Eto'o is credited as winning 3 Champions League with 3 teams.
Barca, Inter, and
Real.
Mm-hmm.
Sami Eto'o was on the Real books before he went to Mallorca.
Right.
So, I'm not exactly sure if it's an official.
He'll claim it, like.
He'll claim it, and I don't know what UEFA put in that, but Sami Eto'o's definitely.
Ancelotti's the only manager to have done it with 3 different teams, isn't he?
That's a good stat. I don't know. AC, obviously. Who else?
And he's managed Real.
Real. Did he win one Real? He might have done. Was that their first one? It was the La Decima thing. They had been chasing the 10th for years. Did he win it that year? See, I'm not too sure.
We'll have to dig into this off air.
Yeah. I'm gonna Google
it. I'm fairly sure he's won it with 3 different teams. Yeah.
But there's also another interesting stat as well. I mentioned earlier, he was part of, before he moved to Inter Milan, he was part of that Real team. Real won the Champions League in 1999 to 2000, but they don't credit Seedorf as having that as another Champions League. For whatever reason, I don't know if he actually played one game, then he made his move later on to Inter, or else, maybe it was different then if you were part of a team at the start of the season.
But I think that was before the transfer window. So, I think that was before the transfer window when you could make a move at any point in the season and things like that. So maybe you'd move before Champions League kicked off or something. I'm not 100% sure.
But
Ancelotti's won 3 Champions Leagues, but there's 2 with AC and 1 with Real.
Oh, I thought it was 2 different teams.
Yeah, that's the right way of it. But yeah, he's just an awesome player, and I believe that this is just a good shout out to a man who's kind of under the radar, not under the radar, but he's certainly not a player that always comes to mind. You think of a world class player, but he was in that team with AC, and it's not AC team; it's just unbelievable. Yep. I used to hate watching them play against United because Kaka was on a different level.
Kaka ripped you to shreds in 2007.
And Shevchenko was.
Kaka's pace was frightening.
He turned up for a game on either side. There already did Kaka.
I've seen that.
In London. Played on either side. Some lad megged him.
I seen that.
Sorry, go ahead, Best.
Kaka was on a different level. Shevchenko isn't the Shevchenko we've seen in the Premier League.
No,
Shevchenko in Italy.
He went to Chelsea. He was over the hill in his 30s.
Shevchenko in Italy was on another level.
Yeah,
he was absolutely unbelievable.
And Hernan Crespo as well.
Hernan Crespo was
incredible. Like,
there's going to be we're definitely going to do this a few more times, and there's going to be a lot of players coming out of that Italy.
Like that AC Milan team for them few years could arguably be sort of the best assembled team, one of them in the world.
Maldini,
like you could also argue like the Galacticos, but they didn't win much, and they didn't have, they were all flair and no defense. Like
some of he's also pretty impressive as well. He speaks 6 languages, and he also does a lot of work in the community as well. He was born in Suriname.
That's butchered.
But he obviously goes back to his roots, and he back in 2001 he built his own stadium, the Clarence Seedorf Stadium.
He was managing an African team there.
Cameroon.
Yeah.
He's done a wee bit of work in his managerial career. He managed AC for a wee while in 2014, but that's kind of that transition where AC's had now this last 8 or 10 years where they're all over the place. So like
our AC Milan rebuild might be coming out next week. So
they've went through ex players like Clarence, Inzaghi.
Yeah.
So
Gattuso.
So he's also studied a master's degree in business, and he's got a wee nickname as the professor. And
much love for Clarence.
I think you mentioned earlier on, Dave, he's appeared in like tournament events down the years with Match of the Day. And he's also done like some work with the BBC in terms of some shows as well. He's played in charity games such as Soccer Aid. He's played in 2 separate occasions in 2012 and 2014, and he was playing for obviously the rest of the world against England. And in the 2014 match, he scored a hat-trick in a 4-2 win. So
baller.
Absolute baller, and
a midfield powerhouse, like just a complete box-to-box midfielder, going back, going forward. It's like Gini Wijnaldum on steroids.
Don't even put Gini Wijnaldum in the same conversation as Clarence Seedorf.
I said on steroids.
Gini Wijnaldum couldn't lace Clarence Seedorf's boots.
No, he couldn't.
I love Clarence, and this is a wee bit of appreciation for him because he's a great baller, and to do it with 3 different teams to win the Champions Leagues, it's probably not going to be done for a long time, maybe if ever again. Like, I know there's
Ronaldo's got a shout. Ronaldo's got a shout if he wins it with Juventus this year. He done it with United.
Ronaldo has a shout.
Many times with Madrid.
But it could be a while, other than Ronaldo.
Yeah.
It could be a while before that feat is done again or even matched. So
he played for, the biggest team in Holland. One of the 2 biggest teams in Spain, and then the second most successful European side ever in Italy and AC Milan.
Absolutely brilliant player, and very much deserving of a wee shout out.
Clarence was unplayable. This has been great. I've thoroughly enjoyed this one. This has been my favourite one to research. This has been a great podcast, lads. We're up to an hour and 10. We'll do a wee wrap up here, but that was really good. We sort of decided to do it because, as I said at the start, It'll be complete nostalgia for anybody around our age listening to it, and then for anybody younger
they'll get a few players that they can search for on YouTube, and they.
I think we might throw it. You're the upload man.
I'm the upload man. I'll link a few links in of Batistuta videos and a wee compilation of Ronaldo, and if anyone comments on there saying Fat Ronaldo, you will be instantly blocked. Block party.
Yeah, that's been a real good one. We're going to come back to this a few times. I think this is a very repeatable podcast.
Yeah, because there's plenty of footballers
that all need.
I made out a list.
Shout out to my second choice, Maxwell.
I made out a list, and there was so many on the list, and the only thing that decided it for me in a quick matter of time was that the fact that I looked down and I thought, you know what, this man here just needs a shout out, because some of the players that I had
I was going to go for someone kind of like the same way that maybe deserved a bit of love, but then just thinking about it, I was like, the amount of hate, the amount of disrespect that's put in Ronaldo's name now. It needs turned around, and we're going to do a podcast because I knew you guys would jump on board and just shower love on that man.
What do you call it? That book. If anybody wants to dive into the one I read, it's just called Ronaldo, and it's by James Mosley. It's a really good read. There's a wee bit of the start, a wee word from Bobby Robson. It's a really good book. It's short too, like it's only a few hundred pages. It's a real good read. It goes into what caused the fact that he ended up
burnt out so
early, yeah. It's been a real good one tonight, lads. I was buzzing for this all day to get home and get it done. We'll definitely come back to this one a few more times. We'll not do it too often that it gets boring, but we're going to come back to it a few times now, definitely.
Every couple of months or so, we'll maybe pull out a few wee legends and have a wee retrospective look through sort of careers of people who deserve it.
On a rainy night with a cup of tea, get down and get nostalgic.
Yeah,
unbelievable. So we've had our launch and all. We've had a brilliant response from everybody. There's been a lot of people sharing and that for us on multiple platforms, which has been sound. We're really happy with what's happened so far. I think we're maybe up in total now, maybe over 500 sort of
downloads,
download views
over
which is
platforms.
Absolutely crazy.
We're currently awaiting the okay from Spotify and iHeartRadio to get up on the platforms.
Spotify's the big one, like you do want to be there for handiness sake for people and maybe a bit more exposure elsewhere.
We're just waiting on a wee email from Spotify giving us the hey, you're on.
Yeah, it said I think it was 14 days, so it could be a wee while with Podbean for another wee while. Next week we're gonna stagger our releases because we've got
it was on launch day. We wanted to put with 3 up in one go, but it'll be.
We wanted to when people clicked in that there was more than one podcast to listen to. The next week's ones are going to be a lot of pre-record ones, ones that we recorded prior to launching. We decided to do that so we could be ahead of ourselves. The only thing is we're going to have to ask people to like and comment,
subscribe.
We actually got
if you enjoy listening, show us some love with a wee subscription, a wee comment, and a wee like, because it really does, help the channel. So it does, and it helps us.
We don't want to be all them
YouTubers
and all that slap you with like, but it does actually help, and we kind of need that. So, we'd very much appreciate it if you could like it and subscribe it. Even if you subscribe it and never come back to it. Just hit the
Although
button.
I would prefer that you did come back to it, but subscribe anyway.
Uncle or Maz and all have probably subscribed to this carry on. They're not going to listen to one podcast we do. But we're really appreciative of all that. So we were just saying there earlier before we came on, a few of our close friends have given us real good ideas for some things. A lot of the movie stuff and the nerd stuff that we're going to do. Yeah. There's been some deadly ideas that they've given us there. Big Kyle,
shout
Dean,
out to Kyle, Puffer,
Eddie,
PJ, Eddie.
So if you leave us a comment on like even maybe the Instagram or the Podbean or the Twitter page or the YouTube page, wherever you want to leave us a comment, throw us an idea in. If we think of it's good, we'll take it on. We'll give you a wee shout out and stuff. We'll be very appreciative of it. But
any ideas and sort of football videos you want to see, sports videos, nerd culture videos, anything that you'd like to hear us talk about, if you commented, we'll give you a shout out.
Yeah, because there was stuff
we'll
there.
We'll show you some love.
There was some stuff there that I didn't think of that the boys came up with pretty swift. So there'll be people that'll be listening that'll have good ideas too. So if you can give us a few things to do, we can get on that too with our own ideas and things that we definitely want to cover ourselves. But you are listening, and I hope you are liking it. So, give us a few ideas and we'll cover it. But
we'll give the people what we want. We are the people's channel.
Oh Jesus! Right. Well, that'll do for the night, lads. That was real fun.
That was a good one tonight.
Right. Thanks very much for listening.
Peace out. Good luck.
Goodbye, everybody.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Good luck.